What if the massive No Kings protests sweeping America today aren't about democracy at all, but a covert communist takeover funded by shadowy elites? That's the explosive claim rocking the MAGA world right now, as millions hit the streets in over 3,000 rallies nationwide, chanting that America has no kings and power belongs to the people. But prominent Trump allies are firing back hard, labeling these events the Hate America rally, sponsored by communists. House Speaker Mike Johnson didn't mince words on X, sharing an image tying the New York protests directly to the Communist Party USA. He blasted, "Now we know Saturday's events are actually funded by Soros and sponsored by the Communist Party USA, among other far-left and communist groups." And he's not alone. Representative Nancy Mace slammed Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer for endorsing the rallies, tweeting, "Nothing says we care about democracy like showing up to a rally sponsored by communists." Even Transportation Secretary Sean Duffy called it part of Antifa, which Trump just designated a terrorist group, while Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent warned of the most unhinged Democrats showing up. The tension skyrocketing as President Trump eyes deploying National Guard troops to cities like D.C., Chicago, L.A., and Portland against local mayors' wishes, citing crime and unrest as justification. Senior Democrats, including Kamala Harris, are urging peaceful participation, with Harris posting on X, "In our country, the power is with the people." Tomorrow, October 18th, I encourage you to join your neighbors in peaceful protest. Bernie Sanders and Gavin Newsom are joining in, framing it as a stand against tyranny. But conservative firebrand Laura Loomer revealed protesters testing giant impeach Trump again, signs with puppets of Trump, J.D. Vance, Kristi Noem, and Stephen Miller in chains, sending shockwaves through MAGA circles as a clear message: get Trump and his supporters at all costs. Hold up, could these accusations of communist sponsorship be more than just rhetoric? What if they're a calculated move to flip the narrative on who's really threatening democracy? Let's dive deeper into the undercurrents here. Because mainstream media might gloss over the nuances, but there's a web of motivations and ripple effects worth unpacking. First, why the communist label? It's not random. MAGA figures like Johnson are spotlighting real ties, like the Communist Party USA's public support for the New York rally. In a polarized America, this taps into Cold War-era fears, painting protesters as anti-American radicals rather than everyday citizens frustrated with executive overreach. But flip the lens. Isn't this a classic deflection tactic? Trump has openly mused about being a king or extending his power, which sparked these rallies in the first place after similar ones in June. By branding them as communist plots, MAGA could be preempting any disorder, real or provoked, to justify a federal crackdown. Think about it. If even a hint of violence erupts, Trump gets his excuse for National Guard intervention, shifting blame from his policies to, quote, far-left agitators. That's a high-stakes game where local mayors lose control and federal power swells, quietly eroding the very federalism conservatives champion. Now, the hidden consequences. What happens to everyday Americans caught in the middle? These rallies aren't just symbolic. They're a litmus test for 2026 midterms and beyond. Democrats see them as a show of strength, boosting turnout among progressives like AOC's base, who Mace hints could oust Schumer. But if MAGA's narrative sticks, it fractures public trust further. Imagine families divided, with one side viewing protesters as patriots and the other as traitors. Economically, unrest in major cities could spike insurance rates, deter tourism, and strain resources already stretched by inflation. And here's a question few are asking. What if this sponsorship drama exposes deeper foreign influences? Soros-funded groups are often accused of globalist agendas, but tying in communists raises eyebrows about Russian or Chinese meddling. Could disinfo campaigns be amplifying these claims to sow chaos? The irony? Protests meant to affirm no kings might inadvertently crown social media as the real ruler, where viral accusations outpace facts. As the dust settles on today's rallies, one thing's clear: America's not short on drama. But in a nation built on checks and balances, who's really pulling the strings? The people, the politicians, or the unseen forces funding the fight? What do you think? Drop your take in the comments, and subscribe to Libo News for more unfiltered angles on the stories shaping our world.